Glad I wore my... Oh, hello. Hey, everybody. Happy Sunday. Welcome back to another episode of the Mindminx Show. I am your favorite Mindminx, and we are live on location at the official sponsor of the Mindminx Show, Amsterdam, located at 223 DeGraw Avenue in Teaneck, New Jersey. And I just want to give a shout out to Castro Beats for this amazing original beat for the show, which I'm super hyped about. And obviously behind the scenes, the man that's making the magic all happen is Mike with Mix Vibes Radio. Hi, everybody.
Hello, everyone.
So I have a special guest today, and I have a background story. I love this too. So I want to give a shout out to Ralph Enriquez. He is the creator of Henry Q comic books, and he had invited me to come do social media coverage for him at New York WinterCon back in February. And we got to be at a table next to another, it's a book? Is it a...
Yeah. So we were with I Am Omega, which is a book series.
It's a book series.
Yeah.
Okay. So not a graphic novel, not graphic. What's it called when the comic book is a bigger book? Graphic novel? Oh, okay. So it's an actual book, not just like a comic book.
Yeah, it's just like a regular book.
Oh, okay.
There are like illustration pieces, but it's not a comic.
Okay. And you are the face of their heroine, basically, yes?
Yeah. So I have an opportunity to play Amanda, who is the protagonist of the story.
So everybody, welcome Laura Aguinaga. Hello.
Hi.
Thanks so much for coming in.
Thanks so much for having me. This is so exciting.
I love when there's a connection, and you were saying, we were just talking about that. Obviously there's a connection because when we met that day at the WinterCon, I was out of my element. I am not a comic book girl. My husband is the best man at our wedding, my son's godfather. He's a comic book creator also. But I tell you, I don't even know how to read a comic book.
Really?
Yeah.
It's so funny because I actually grew up playing video games, reading comics, anime, and that's how I fell into the whole sci-fi video game conventions, going to the cons, and just really, really enjoying them. So now to see my friends like Ralph taking charge and creating these stories that represent us is so awesome.
Yes,
I'm so
it
proud.
is. So wait, are you a cosplayer also?
I wish I could. I can't afford it. I see I get excited. I feed off your energies. Like when you guys put on the costumes and show up, it's so fun for me. I wish I could. I tried it once and then I was like out. I was Medusa.
Oh.
And I went like all out on it. And I was like out $300 to $400. And I was like, I didn't have that sponsorship money. I was like, no. So so I did that for probably 4 or 5 years with that same costume because I wanted to make the most out of that money.
Yeah, sure. Hello, whoever just joined us on live. I can't see that far, so we're just saying hello. All right, so, but do you know Mom the cosplayer?
I met her there.
Oh, okay.
She was so cool when she was telling me about her stories. So she's a mom who goes and she kills it in the cosplay world.
Yep.
So she was there and she was portraying Fuerza, right?
Yep, she was Fuerza.
So Fuerza is part of Ralph's, one of the protagonists of his story, of his comic books. Mm-hmm. So to see them come out to life like that, I'm like a little kid in a toy store whenever I go to the cons because you can just see the love that people have for it. Mm-hmm. And I just can't help but be engrossed by it.
So but the thing is about you, it's yes, you get to be Amanda Crawford, but you're also an actress, a writer, director. And I asked you before we went on, I was like, can we talk about how old you are? Because you've done a lot of stuff. I mean, it's one thing to say, you've acted and you've been in a few things and on stage behind the screen, but that's a lot of, writing short films, being featured, having your film at the official Latino Short Film Festival, which is the first of its kind to really prioritize Latinos. So
So we have Danny Hastings, who also honored me by making me the poster. So I was one of the guerrilla filmmakers of that poster, and for me to tell you, but I'll answer the first one because IMDb gives that away. IMDb. So I'm 39 years old.
Wow.
And I started this when I was 18 years old.
See, that makes more sense because the amount of stuff that I was reading, and I only wrote a couple. I was like, I'm going to let you talk about what you've done because there's so much stuff, like between, being on major TV shows to writing your own stuff to directing. You even got co-credit as one of the main stars of a show one time, right? Am I remembering that correctly?
We had some shows that were pilots. Right now, that's probably going to be Kia. And unfortunately, with Kia, we got shut down because of COVID.
Oh, gosh.
And we're seeing a lot of them come back. We're bringing Kia back on the table, so that is still a thing. That's possible. I first started in acting. I wanted to become a vet. That was my idea. Until I realized that I couldn't handle blood or, death. I'm too emotional for the part. And then I had an opportunity in high school to play in All My Sons. And back then there was a negative stigma of acting that if you act, you're putting yourself out there as gay, which is nothing wrong, obviously. But for young kids, especially the boys, they had this fear of taking part, so they were short of boys being cast. So I was asked, like, Laura, because I was a tomboy back in the day, and still am, can you do us a favor? Can you play one of the sons? And till this day, I thought it was my better performance because it was just me fresh out of the boat, me trying to do my best without having, you're supposed to look at this, you're supposed to do that. And from there, I went on to graduate with a BA degree in journalism, but minor in theater.
Okay.
And then that's how I started venturing into film and television. But it took me a while. It took me probably almost 18 years before I booked my first television
Really?
role. So a lot of people have that idea that, I see her booking so much and, that's just luck or an overnight success. But then they don't understand that it took me like anywhere between 15 to 18 years of me starting. And I still remember when I booked my first one because I was crying. I was crying in the bus because I thought I messed up the audition. It was for VH1 The Breaks. And I was the only passenger. You couldn't even write this any better. I was the only one on the bus. And the bus driver says, "Remember, after the rain comes the rainbow." And it hit me so hard. Like, I started telling him, I didn't even say thank you. I think I was just sobbing up my tears. And then when I got on the train, I got the call that I booked it.
All right, everybody knows I'm a crier, and that's like a cry-worthy story, so thanks a lot, because I already threw my tissue at my husband. Crap, that was really great. But it was that quick that they called you, so at least
she instantly knew. I thought I did something wrong because me and the director, I kind of sidetracked from the audition because it was a woman directing, and she happened to be in the audition. And then I was telling her I was a writer and that I wrote my short film. I sidetracked from the audition. I was just so excited to see her as a person of color and that she was going to direct that episode. And I kid you not, the next woman that was supposed to audition, all I hear is, "That's okay, we're good." And they didn't even let her audition.
Wow.
And then I was like this, oh my God, what happened? What did I do? And I was looking at her, seeing that she didn't do anything wrong. She just opened the door, and I didn't realize that at that moment they already knew
made their decision
that they were going to book me
wow.
for it. And then from there came the other ones, because once you open up that envelope, then it makes it, okay, we can see she can handle that. Let's give her an opportunity to work on these other shows.
Now, how does it feel? Because you're Puerto Rican and Peruvian descent, yes?
Yeah.
And you were born and raised in Queens, yeah?
Yeah.
See, we got the same mix.
Oh, dear Lord.
Oh, you are too? Really? Look, it's this whole studio is just vibing with me. I'm telling you.
We're mixed vibes, that's why.
Yeah. See? Oh, see? I see the brand.
So, how does it feel? It's different when does your family have a background of theater or the arts or anything?
No, I was the first to ever even go into it, so there was like absolutely no connections. I had to go into it raw. I had to do my own homework. I had to figure out everything by myself. And it's really hard because there's nobody that you can really gravitate to, because a lot of times it's not like, oh, you're pursuing college. Don't give up. You have people saying that's your career. But when you're doing jobs like this, everybody is quick to say, maybe this is not for you.
Well, because it's a saturated, there's so many people who are trying to get into it. So especially if you don't have a mentor to say, hey, listen, it's okay. It's supposed to be difficult. You know. So yeah, I think that's something to be really proud of, because you didn't have that. But how does it feel growing up in, Queens and you're still there?
I love Queens. I'm Queens at heart for sure. Queens is, I love Queens because of and New York, because of like how diverse it is. That you can just go anywhere, a block from here, a block from there, and it's like you're in a whole different world. Like, I laugh because I say I'm Latina, but because I was born and raised in Woodside, I say I was raised by the Irish. So I'm like,
with an accent and everything.
I love my Irish, like the Irish neighborhood, and it's like stuff like that you get to integrate and learn from each other and build that love and respect for each other. Like, even when my parents came, they didn't speak a lick of English, and that whole community took them in and was helping them, and especially that they were going to raise us, and now our first language is English, and second would be Spanish. But it's always interesting to me. I can't see myself anywhere else but New York. I love the rush, I love the pace, and I love the diversity of it all.
Do you feel that there's more opportunities also to create?
Yeah, with New York, it's so close. Like, you can just take, like, I see California. I haven't really been over there, but it's so hard, like, travel-wise, to get anywhere versus here. It's just a small world. Like, look at how we connected. We connected through a friend, and that's how I got a lot of my jobs. How I got I Am Omega was through my friend Megan, who was also cast, but then they needed to fill in the protagonist role, and she threw my name. She was like, please, like, talk to Laura about it. So a lot of the opportunities that I received, even when making my short film, I wrote it and everybody said yes, they wanted to take part in it. Everybody's so hungry to create here and we want to have fun, but at the same time, can you make a livelihood is the question of it. And that's what kind of makes it hard, and why we're so hungry to play with others, because we want to do it. But it does take a lot of patience and strength, because you have your indies, which I tell people, please, don't underlook indies. Indies, they go to film festivals, they get looked at. You never know who's going to be able to cast you because they found you through this film. And that's all like accessible here in New York for me. You have like everything, versus now we're straying away from being typecast. When you were originally in the film and television world, that was hard for me as a Latina, because they would say, okay, all you can do when you want to create is be a mistress, a prostitute, a druggie, a baddie.
Yeah, stripper.
A stripper. And then they think you're New York, and they're like, you got to be talking like New York. You got to be saying, I got the coffee and all this. And I'm like, but that's not, that's not how I talk. And they're like, but you're not from Queens. I'm like, yeah, I say coffee, but that's about it. So you had that stigma. So I'm really happy that film and television right now is straying away from that and really putting in the work of that representation does matter.
You're actually a very, very big proponent for that as well, too, because
I am.
There's, like you said, the stereotypical role that would be offered is not anything that is actual of how we were raised and what we've accomplished. And so it's nice to see that there's a large group of people, especially in the art industry, who are saying, no, we're not drug addicts. No, we're not barefoot pregnant in the kitchen. As a matter of fact, it's my husband that cooks, not me. So just saying.
Sí, esposo.
So it's really nice to see that. And when it comes to your work, do you find that you're casting or creating roles that will be meant to be casted by Latinas and Latinos?
With me, I didn't, like, when I created Short Steps, I wanted it to be like, we can play regular roles without forcing it down your throat that we're Latinos, because again, you don't see Caucasian families do that, where they're like this, hey, we're Caucasian, and we live our lives how we live our lives, and how people interpret that is me just casting the people, and it's just a story. And the story will still remain the same whether it's just giving also that opportunity and that to take away from people that, that Latino man is just like a regular family man. He's not, and
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? This is very interesting. Like, or I think like what they're doing now, for instance, we have like we have like, it's Jordan Peele, right? Who does the horror now, but he casts a majority of African Americans in it. But he's not forcing the idea that they're African Americans. It's just them in a horror movie, or them like Out was different, but like now he's creating his own world, or Tyler Perry to a degree, of them saying we can tell these stories.
I think Tyler Perry is a good example because you don't see them, even though Medea is very, but I think there's a comical relief in there. But the stories, you don't think of them as, drug dealers. You know what I mean? They're hardworking people who are raising their families.
Yeah.
So I love that about that. So talk about Short Steps. How did that come about?
Short Steps was a dream that I had shortly after my grandmother died. And it was the idea of how people handle loss. It's been a while, so I'm sorry if there's like any spoilers, but the story is following the protagonist, the husband, who is about to go on his first date. What I like about it is that I get a lot of questions about it and I don't answer it because I like it to be something that you interpret.
Okay.
They always want to ask how much time has passed, because I never specify how much time has passed.
Okay.
And I said, it doesn't matter how much time has passed, because 4 years, I might not need 4 years. I might need a week. You might need 10 years. That person might need. So however you interpret that story of him trying to move forward after the loss of his wife is something I liked about the film. And there's really no words. I wanted it because music plays a big part in when I write. And I wanted the people to be there emotionally with me when I was writing this story of like how the music was paving the way. And it doesn't take a lot of words. It's just emotions, and still there's a story behind it. And a lot of people were resonating with that a lot, because they were saying that it's not a loss that you saw coming, especially those losses. And I think a lot of people experienced that during COVID at a time like that's why I was kind of reviving Short Steps again, because I experienced that too, sadly, with my uncle, that it was not, and among so many of my friends too, that they had people who were, you see them 10 years in your life or more. And all of a sudden this happened and they're just taken away with you, where you had absolutely no time to adjust yourself or prepare yourself. So that's where Short Steps was me with my grandmother. My grandmother was different though, because she was like in her 90s. But even with her loss, she was one of my bigger losses when I was growing up.
Sure.
So I had my grandfather, but my grandfather, I was too young to understand it. But when my grandmother passed, I was old enough to understand it. And that hurt.
Sure. And what year did you write this?
This one is now, I want to say it was 2014, and then it went into 2016 is when it started. We retired it from the film festival.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow. So you had to. Is that a good feeling when you have to retire, as opposed to not being asked to participate? It's
more. We still show it around. It's something I'm proud of, because it was my first time being a director and then writing, and then for me to see my name go on the screen the way that it does. And now for me to have something that it's in your head, now you can like put it on screen and share that story with everyone else. I just say it's more retired because it's now time for me to work on other projects.
Okay.
And if they want to screen it, it's like, I have it on, I think, Vimeo. It's available there.
Okay.
Short Steps, and then my name, I believe it comes up. It's like about 10 minutes and 36 seconds, I think.
Oh, that's it. Definitely. I was going to ask how long it is.
Yeah, so it is a short film, but it wasn't going to be, a lot of times people said, do you see it as being distributed? But I wrote it as a one-time project that I wanted to see what I was capable of And I was really proud. I can't see how we would extend it. Maybe if that opportunity is there and we have a meeting about it, I would love to, but I'm starting to work on other shorts and other features that I would like to bring to life and have that as well come, something down the line.
So would you consider that to be your pride project, like you're most proud of that?
I was sobbing when I went to the film festivals, and when it first got accepted, my first one, I laughed because it was so late at night. I had nobody to call. I'm like, it is 1 a.m. and I found out that I got it.
Aww.
And I only had my dog at the time to celebrate. I was like, it's just going to be you and me, Dixie. We're going to go celebrate.
My God, she's going to make me cry again. What the fuck? Can I have a tissue, please? Need a tissue. So you told Dixie.
I had to, she was my only one. I had to wait till the morning, and I was patiently waiting. I was like, is 6 a.m. too late? Too early?
Nope, never too early.
7 a.m.
Thank you.
So
who was the first person you told about it being?
my mom.
Yeah.
My mom is always my go-to. Even when I did the book and I got picked up, my mom, she played such a huge part because my mom, she came from Puerto Rico at a young age. And she didn't speak a word of English, but she loved sci-fi fantasy and all this. So she would watch the Ghibli movies, and she would watch them with the subtitles because it would force her to listen and to read.
Okay.
And so that's how she started picking it up. So then when we were babies, she started getting us into anime. And then that's how we started falling into the sci-fi fantasy video world. But my mom legit, when she watches things, she watches it like it's real. Like she'll stop watching a movie.
I do too.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So she's like, she'll read a book and she'll stop reading the book. And I'm like, Ma, what? Like, mommy, like, why did you stop reading it? And she's like, I ain't ready. She's like, I think this character is going to die. And if I stop here, that character will live forever. But if I continue going, I'm like, but. So she'll stop so scared, afraid of it. So I think that's where my creativeness started coming through. Like I started remember doing it as a kid, but nobody tells you you can do this as a job. Nobody tells you. Some parents do, but my parents were never thinking, oh, our kid should become an actor and a writer. And so at a young age, like 13, I was writing character Bibles. I was in love with X-Men. I was in love with a lot of the DC Marvel, and I started creating like my own universes. But again, I just kept that away because I kept thinking there's nothing you can do with that.
Right. Do you still have them?
I think I do.
Oh my God, you gotta look for them.
I'm gonna look for them, and I want to see how cringe I was at
when
that
you were 13.
age.
Yeah, reread them now. That is so.
I might impress myself actually. I might be like
cool.
this. Wow, Lord, good job. So good. Doing better than me. I'll be like this. Oh my goodness. But yeah, I definitely have some stuff from the old times that I didn't throw away. I might actually still have that now that you're bringing it up.
I'm going to text you later to remind you to look for it.
I still know. It's in those composition notebooks, so I can't miss
the black
it.
and white ones?
Yeah.
Oh, God, I remember those. Hello, everybody who's joining us. I unfortunately can't see that far. Oh, I do see one. I just want to give a shout out. I got an intern, and he started with me yesterday, and I just want to give a shout out to Brian. He's been awesome for the past 24 hours, so hopefully it goes well from there.
Hola, Brian.
Oh, God, I'm sorry. I completely got sidetracked. All right, so
You were saying you were live with?
I'm live with Laura Aguinaga. My guess. Okay, all right. Blooper. I'm live with Laura Aguinaga.
I was waiting for the answer like a dummy. I'm like, who's she live
Yeah,
with?
see? That's what I'm like. All right, so it wasn't just me. This is what happens when I let you turn the mic on. This is what happens.
You were just about to say it.
Like Mix Vibes? I know I'm making Mix Vibes. I'm live at Absalom. Don't forget to like, share, and follow. We haven't done that in a long time. What else do we want to talk about? All right, I did all my homework. So what do you want to talk about? Do you have any projects that you want to talk about that you can talk about?
Yeah, so we have our anthology book with my publishing company. Well, I'm signed with them, with Caffeine and Ink, called Tales We Tell the Sky, which is an anthology book consisting of all the authors from kind of Caffeine and Ink, which is including myself. That has been brought to you by Emmanuel Camacho, so shout out to him. And it contains 2 short stories that are Easter eggs. So
explain this Easter egg, because my 13-year-old says Easter egg all the time, and I know he's referencing a video game. So explain.
No, so what it is that, like, you have Toy Story, right?
Yeah.
So you watch the Toy Story movies, and in the background it's a completely different movie, but in the background you see a Buzz Lightyear toy. That's like your little Easter egg. That's like little hidden things that they put there that if you would appreciate and see and be like, even here, like if there was something in the background behind here and you're like, oh, I see the Joker because we're connected with DC. This is like a little Easter egg.
Gotcha.
So these are not going to be mentioned. It's in connection with my book, Sci-Fi Fantasy Series, which I can't really get more into because we're right now going in through the interpretations, and then we're going to be going through the drafts with a hope of a 2023 release.
Wow.
So it's a huge sci-fi fantasy world that I've created. So these 2 chapters are, if you're starting to read the Artemisia series and you want some of behind the scenes, those 2 chapters are going to be your Easter eggs, and they're available on the anthology of Tales We Tell the Skies, which is available at Barnes & Nobles.
Wow. Wait, okay, so you're an author, actress, director. So there's a difference between, because I did read that you were a writer, but I assumed, because you wrote films or whatever.
I did,
so you're
yeah.
an author as well.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Recent. I'm a baby author. I just received that title. I was making the mistake before because I didn't know, you have proper radio etiquette. There's proper literature etiquette.
Yeah, proper radio etiquette would mean I wouldn't be able to hear him on his phone right now. Just say. I heard somebody. But go ahead, proper literature etiquette.
And I was writing the book and I was telling people I was an author. And they were like, no, you do not get to say you're an author until you have a published piece.
Oh, okay.
I never knew that. So I made sure that when Tales That We Tell the Sky was published, they said, Laura, now you can say that you
Gotcha.
were. I had to update all my bios. I was like, I didn't want to leave a bad taste in anybody's mouth. And they're like, she keeps saying she's an author, but there's no published pieces. So that's the today we learned.
Lesson of the day, the more you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Who else is there? Oh, I see Jason. Hey, Jason. I can see that. Okay, so how many? So you've written the...
So we've written the 2 short stories for Tales That We Tell the Sky, and then we have Artemisia, which is about, right now, is over 100,000 words.
Oh, wow.
And it's going to be a series. So how many books will be released will be dependent on, I have an idea. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do. My publisher is probably like this. Wait. And I'm like this. So it's about 100,000 words. So it's going to be a heavy book read for.
And that 100,000 is one book.
One book.
Wow.
That's book 1.
How many words are like a regular book?
That's usually about average. It depends on how they, because I would say pages, but then it depends on how they make the book. If the book is longer, then it's going to be thinner versus if it's shorter, it's going to be fatter. So you have your heavy hitters, you have J.K. Rowling's, who I think the Harry Potter's average about 500 to 600 pages.
Yeah, I'm not a... Okay, so next question.
No, yes,
I'm not a reader.
yes.
But I do like watching movies. So as a writer, as an author, are you writing these with a hope that they become a screenplay?
I did that for Artemisia. Was definitely supposed to be a screenplay, but realistically, because it's a sci-fi, that's already telling you money is going to go down the drain, because it's not down the drain. It's it's going to be a stupid amount of money because it's a sci-fi. We need green screens, we need special effects, we need makeup, hair, voiceovers. So I was transitioning more to my original love, which was animated. So if I had a
okay.
choice of Artemisia becoming a live action or an animated series at this point, I am now seeing it realistically being animated.
Okay.
I think that's where I would feel more at home because of my love for the anime and comic books and the cons. And me going back to a lot of the, like, I was a fan of Avatar: The Last Airbender. Now the Dragon Prince that they came up with that series, Castlevania, all those like Netflix.
That's all. I don't. That's your wheelhouse.
So, and it's funny because I think Castlevania was a Queen's Astoria. We were playing dodgeball once, and the like two of the people on our team were saying like they were like an Astoria group. That I said, Queens is claiming Castlevania. Yes, it was a game that we grew up playing. So to see a lot of these games come into the animated world and seeing it being perceived well, especially like the ones I've been seeing from Amazon. I've even seen like I go more hardcore, like the Invincible series. If people watch Invincible, do not let your kids watch Invincible. Here you go.
Okay, we gotta add that. Oh yeah, Vox Machina.
That one I finished too, and that was actually based on people creating their Dungeon and Dragon stories.
Oh, really?
And it blew up on YouTube because I wanted to find out more about it because I was like, how have I not heard about this? Because I don't really play Dungeons and Dragons. I tried a million times thinking, my friends are giving me another go to play it because I want to really truly understand it. But Vox Machina was the new one that I watched and I skimmed through. It gets tricky now because sometimes, you know, you got to watch the series first before you let your kids watch it because it does come off, oh, it could be for kids. And then you start watching it immediately and you're like this is an adult.
Yeah.
Adult. So that's where I see more of Artemisia going.
Okay.
That would fall under the Vox Machina, the Invincible, that it's going to be animated, but it would be highly just strictly for adults.
Okay. That's pretty cool. I think it is cool. I mean, the genres, I love sci-fi, don't get me wrong, but like when I think sci-fi, I think like, you know, outer space, aliens, that kind of sci-fi.
Like Star Trek.
Yeah.
And
Star Wars.
yeah.
See that? I'm a Star Wars nerd. I could do that.
See, Star Wars, I always try to get into watch the Don't Leave Me, I'm sorry. I have my friends who are more of the Star Wars. I think I fell more into the anime kind of video game world when it comes to fantasy and sci-fi telling versus the live action. I was more, you know, going towards Lord of the Rings, and because my mom got me into Lord of the Rings, and then we had The Hobbit, then we had also the one that's coming back that's getting Willow.
Yes,
Willow's
Really?
Willow's coming back.
The original, he's gonna be in it.
The
Yeah.
little guy? Okay.
He's gonna be in it.
Wow.
So I still remember when my mom made me watch Willow. So then that got
So
us.
then are they gonna bring back Neverending Story?
I wouldn't
It's
be
a never-ending
surprised.
story.
It's a never-ending story.
Betrayal.
That's right.
Oh no, we're not. Give me the tissue.
But we got one right here. Right there.
Be like,
Oh my gosh. All right. So why do you think that that form of sci-fi is what you gravitated to? Is that what like everybody else in your group, your crew, whatever was doing? Because like I never got into anime at all.
yeah. So we got back into in the 80s when we had VHS tapes. Stay with me, guys.
When you had to get up and change the channel with the button on top of
Play
a box.
the rewind. They're like, what is this language she's speaking right now? Like,
Mine.
Be kind, rewind.
oh my goodness, yeah. And also because my mom had such a love for it, and the way that they were, what got me was they told stories ways that in America they were afraid to tell stories. Like they weren't afraid to push that limit, and you didn't understand like why in Japan they're able to tell stories in that way versus here we're so censored. And there they were able to explore and push the stories, and maybe more so because I was the only girl in my group. and my older brother was more in charge with his friends, and they were very into all that, including my mom. My mom, not the violent parts. Like, she wants those cute little animes that everybody, the bunnies and everybody.
Like Hello Kitty.
Yeah, like they live happily ever after. Or she loved them because they had, this is it. Because in the Ghibli movies, they always had a strong female protagonist that did not need a romantic connection.
Ah, okay.
So anytime she saw those stories, she gravitated to them because she was like, that's how I want to see myself. I want to see myself being the savior, the hero, the heroine. And there was no sappy like, oh, but she needed this in order to get that. It was her on her own. And I still think that's the best storytelling when it comes to anime. That I want to be able to, push out there, that you can have like these strong, even because they were just diverse in their own sense, but they would make it make sense on why she was the strong female protagonist in every single story.
Nice.
So that's why my mom gravitated to it. But then I started branching out and I started playing video games, and I started loving Final Fantasy. That's my go-to RPG game. And Final Fantasy is what got me to want to write more, because I got so engrossed in these characters. Like, I now understood what my mom felt. Like, when a character died, you canceled your entire day. Your whole schedule was shut down. You needed days to recover because you were playing them. And you played hours and hours and hours believing in their story, falling in love with them, getting so engrossed, and suddenly they're killed off and you just don't know how to recover. Like, I just remember, like, everybody should know this by now because this is not a spoiler alert at this point. Like, when Aerith died, it was a tragic in the video game.
Wait, no, you gotta explain for the non-video game. What do you mean? Because it's a game. Yes, don't you like come back to shush yourself? You're not allowed to talk right now.
Not a game.
See, this is what they mean when I shush them. So what do you mean the character died?
So in the storyline, because we have cinematic breaks, like sometimes you'll get triggered that while you're playing, because it's an RPG, a role-playing game, and we're role-playing as these characters.
Okay.
And usually you're progressing through a story like you would in a book. And then in this series of games, some of them were continuations. So sometimes you spend years playing these games, you fall in love with these characters, or you just automatically connect with one and you're like, that's my character. I love how they play. I love her storyline, because there's like a lot with RPGs, they'll have like dialogue.
Yeah, I watch him play all the time. I have to.
Oh, so when we have you're following these characters, you're with them, and then all of a sudden they have a break and you just see another character come out, making it canon, which when it's canon, that means that's officially part of the storyline. You can't change it.
Okay.
So she was killed through the other protagonist of the story, or the antagonist. Sephiroth comes out of nowhere and sticks a sword through her as we're about to save her. And I remember I was about to shut off my system thinking I messed up, because now games, they let you play that you get to determine where the story goes. Back then, not so. This was the straight line. That's it. This is the story you get. And I kept thinking to myself that I messed up. I messed up bad. And I actually decided not to save my game and go back to my last save, trying to save her. And then when I realized that it was canon, because we had the internet, but this was back in the day, like you couldn't just log on and say, was this, like you had to buy the books, strategy guides to find that information. So I would have to go to GameStop, peek through their books and be like, and you found out that she did die. So the power that video games have on your mentality and the connections you have with the story is what I gravitated to when, especially with Final Fantasy, but back when it was Final Fantasy 3 or 6 in Japan. This all makes sense to somebody.
No, it makes sense to me, but this is like a whole different. I just thought it was like all right, take me back to Donkey Kong, and that's what I consider video game. You know what I mean? But this is like a whole different.
Yeah.
Wow.
Literally like playing a book.
Yeah.
Wow. But like, all right, so here, and I know you don't know the answer to this, but if anybody, like how do new video games, if that's the intense commitment that you have for that game. How do new video games even crack past that if you're so... I know, but I see you playing, and you'll play for 5 minutes, something that, they said you can have this one for free, and you're like, yeah, never mind. Like, how do they get past crack through that?
It's really you understanding your audience, understanding the brand of your game. Like, there's one that I found super cool. Like, there's first-person shooter games, which I really don't do because I get motion sickness. First person is just going to be like, you instead of seeing the body, you just see the gun. And then there's third person, which I do, is when you get to actually see the character and play as the character, those are my favorite games. So a first-person shooter game that came out that you can do as first person or third person came out is called, I forgot the name of it. It's a Toy Story first-person shooter game. So you're the action, the toys.
Oh my God.
In this store. The store closes for the night, and an all-out battle goes out. And I think it's the cutest idea that you get to pick your character. I think you can be like, I might be wrong, like Ken or all of them, and you're just in this all-out battle, and you can play with your friends. A new game that came out that's interesting to me, and it's been receiving great reviews, is called Stray. And it's you being a cat trying to survive the post-apocalyptic world.
Wow.
And they said this game has no business being as fun as it is.
Really?
And and it's just you being a cat trying to survive after the apocalypse.
God bless you. There's like, where's Mario Brothers, please?
They still have the 2D worlds. Those are more in the app sections now. But you know what's kind of ruining it though for me is the pay to play. So there's so many remarkable games that like I would like to play, but then they say it gets to a point that if you don't spend real money, then you can't progress.
Really? So even if you purchase the game,
yeah,
they're saying that purchase is only for up until here. If you want to go past here, you got to pay again.
Or like other people are spending money and they start beating you because it's like a multiverse game, or it's just a game where you're like hitting a level and they're like, I can't beat this level. I can't beat this level. How can I not beat this level? And they're like, well, if you spend $5, you can buy these diamonds and these coins, and you can buy boosters that can help you past that level. So it's unlimited, like you're just bleeding money into these games.
I fell victim to that with my Candy Crush.
I was just trying to remember the name.
Candy Crush.
How about our son?
Yeah, but he's a gamer. I'm not a gamer. I got sucked into that with Candy Crush.
Oh,
like,
you
motherfuckers.
see?
It'll say, like, I know I just needed one more move to complete the level. And they're like, well, for 10 diamonds, I don't have any diamonds. Well, you can buy 50 of them for $8. Oh my God, I can't tell you. I had to switch it from my bank account to my credit card because I don't use my cash for anything but paying bills. And I was like, holy shit, I spent like $70 last weekend.
You see?
Uh-huh.
That's how they get you. That's how they get you.
I mean, I passed the level.
Exactly.
It cost us $70, but we did it,
Yeah,
team.
We did it. We did
We
it.
did it.
I can't see who else is there. Hello, everybody who's joining us. Where are we? Because we're just bullshitting now, and we could just do this all day. Okay, we got another 12 minutes. We're good. So what else do you want to talk about? What is your... If you're going for a role, are you finding yourself looking for a niche? Like, are you looking for like a sci-fi versus... Because you've been on quite a different array of shows, and I don't remember, and it's on my phone, but there was like an NBC something show.
Oh, New Amsterdam.
New Amsterdam,
I played Dreama, which was a young mom. And then I played the nurse in Shades of Blue.
Shades of Blue, that's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah, so Shades of Blue. And then I want to go back to doing more stunts. I used to do stunts. And anything that requires, that's why I got so mad about I Am Omega I laugh with Dan, who is the creator of it, because I was like, everybody gets all these cool powers and these abilities, but I'm the regular human. I'm like, give me a sword, give me something. Like, I miss having those, because before in my early 20s, I used to take part in the Urban Action Showcase, which Ralph also is familiar with. They, I believe, showcase in the fall in like around Times Square area. and they actually bring people of color to start, action films. And it was, again, back to the representation matters to showcase, look, we don't always have to be the bad guys. We can be the good guys as well. So we were part of one that was called the SEAL series. So I forgot what my character's name was, but I absolutely love playing her because she was like a no nonsense, that she was a hard body, and she was gamed whenever like things got hard for the team. She was the one that they would call to clean up. And her scenes would always make me like super excited because I would know that I would be going up against like a 6 foot, 200-pound man. If you're joining now, please rewind before, like, who's tossing me about and beating me up and all them. And it was just really, and I had an opportunity to reconnect with some of them because we had a stunt scene which unfortunately got cut. It was in Gotham, and you see everybody now, we're coming forward and working with these major networks as stunts is so cool to me, because before we would not really have those opportunities because we would say, I get it, I'm always the bad guy, but we want to stray away from the stereotypes. So for Hollywood to start saying, you know what, let's bring them in, let's, like, now you have like even like Luke Cage, who is which was bringing in a lot of people from the stunt world. But I really hope that they bring those shows back. Unfortunately, we lost a lot of them when they merged over to Disney Plus. But we love the mouse, please. We love the mouse.
We have somebody else made a long comment. Somebody's gonna have to read it for me, babe.
Oh, I see.
Somebody made a long comment.
I think it says, I'm not sure if this was answered before, but was there ever a time you felt like giving up or where you felt stuck? Oh, that's a good question.
Great question.
So it was back when I booked, I did mention it before, I'll be happy to say it. It was back when I was working, when I was trying to book for VH1 The Breaks. I was, as you're getting older, the acting world honestly is not working in your favor. It's like you feel like it's a ticking time bomb. I was at the edge of my rope, and this was again an audition. Imagine being told no, you're not good enough for 18 years of your life, and you feel like you're doing everything right. So I went in there like I didn't care. I honestly went into that audition like, you know what? I'm so over it. This woman is a person of color. She's a director. I'm going to have a one-on-one conversation with her about what I'm doing to try to make change and representation by writing and directing my own work. And we had just connected. And then she was like, oh, like she got distracted and asked if I could audition, like to do the audition. I did the audition, and I went to the bus and I started crying. And then I was sharing that how the bus driver noticed, because I was the only one in the bus, and he says, after the rain comes the rainbow. And I was still sobbing because I felt like that was it. I was done. I cannot do this anymore. I can't be told that I'm not good enough. My whole interior shattered. And it was when I was on the train ride, on the 7 train riding back to Woodside.
Lucky number 7.
Yep. I got the phone call, and it was to tell me that I booked my first co-star role on VH1 The Breaks.
That's so freaking cool. So don't give up.
It's, if I always tell myself this, imagine if I had said, that's it, I'm not going to do this. I would not have booked the next 8 TV roles I got. I would not have booked those feature roles that I've received. In fact, I probably would not have been contacted by my publishers who were originally trying to book me for an audiobook and knew me as an actress. And I shared with them my story about, oh, you guys are into sci-fi fantasy? Me too. And then I started telling them that, oh, I had this idea. And from there, they were like, okay, do us a favor. If you can provide us a prologue and 2 chapters, we're going to see if we want to pick you up. And I wrote the prologue and I wrote the 2 chapters, and I got picked up.
Wow.
And now you have Artemisia, which is in the works. So a lot of times it's so easy for us to say, that's it, I'm done. Again, please respect your body, may it be, and also your mental health, and listen and be true to it. But if you need a break, take a break. But at the same time, for me, I haven't seen myself wanting to do anything but this, whether that be creating in literature, creating by screenwriting, or creating by being behind the camera or in front of the camera. That is what I knew I wanted. And for me to have that breaking point, I stand proud that I decided not to quit, because then all of this, I probably wouldn't even be sitting here right now. This probably would have just been like, I wish one day I get to sit down and have a conversation like this with somebody. And I chose to stick through it. So if you need that time and that effort and you need that sign, believe in yourself and continue to push forward, but also respect your mind and body at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Hey, and listen, who said it? Edison? Every failure just showed you how not to do it. Don't ever give up.
That is true.
All right. Well, I want to thank you so much for being on. I think that's what they said, that was inspirational. I can't see that far, but.
Oh, wow. That's inspirational. Thank you, NYC_G. I see you. I see you.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining in. It is a brand new week, so go own it and mind your favorite minx and join us next time. Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.